Welcome. You're listening to Parts and Charts, the IFS and Astrology podcast. I'm Chelsea Owens, an artist and licensed marriage and family therapist specializing in internal family systems, and one of my spiritual gifts is the ability to balance depth and fun.
And I'm KP Kaszabowski, a poet, filmmaker, and astrologer who seeks pathways to fully loving myself and others, and the language for what is happening underneath the surface.
Together, we explore how inner parts and planetary archetypes speak to one another. Whether you're new to IFS or astrology or deep in your own integration practice, we're glad you're here.
Welcome back. This is our back to school special. Since it's back to school time and we all love this time, it's so exciting. And I don't know about you, but I love school and I kind of miss being in school. Or I miss like back to school time and like getting that excitement and getting my art supplies and my school supplies together, getting my clothes together. So that's kind of how that's what I associate August with. How about you?
Yeah. Virgo season for sure.
Yeah.
And when this episode is released, we'll be in Virgo season. So yeah, Virgo season is just like brainy, but not too committed. We're just like figuring, like seeing what we like, classes we might want to drop if it's college, teachers if we want to become menaces toward or not. Yeah, I love that energy. Were you ever a menace?
To society and school? I don't think so. I was not. I mean, maybe ask my parents at home, maybe. I was wild at home. But at school, I was a perfect angel. I was like, I was obedient. I got my work done. I was, a rule follower. Oh, for sure. I really loved being at school. Good student.
I love school.
Yeah, you too?
Yeah, I mean, if I could be in school every moment of my life, I would. But
I think we're just going to eternally keep trying to like recreate school as much as we can for the rest of our lives, aren't we?
We're thinking of a book club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about the book club idea?
You can. Yeah, you introduce it. How that came about.
So Chelsea and I were talking about having a novel of manners book club where we very slowly read novels of manners, which is like the Jane Austens, the Edith Whartons, the Madame Bovary, those kind of novels. And I think that we want to start with Persuasion. So if you're interested in that, we don't have to necessarily talk about it being connected to parts or astrology.
We're going to try.
What did you say?
But we're going to try.
Yeah. And like, I think it could be interesting to be like, oh, this person is really showing their X part or whatever. That could be really fun. So yeah, we're thinking about starting with Persuasion. If you're interested in this, leave us a comment or send us a message because we want to meet more friends and book clubs are like one of the best ways to make friends.
It is. Yeah. And I haven't read anything in the manners genre, even Jane Austen, which is kind of crazy. Because I appreciate her and her contributions. So that's exciting. And it could be easy to take it like week by week, chapter by chapter too. Yeah. Depending on how long the chapters are, but to like break it down and really just, see what comes out.
Yeah, it's time. I'm in my mid-30s. It's like way overdue for me to read a Jane Austen for sure. Okay, so that's one of our announcements. The other announcement is that after this episode publishes, we'll be having a Q&A, a free Q&A through our Substack. So look for information about that, the date, time, where Chelsea is going to be answering our questions related to therapy, going to school for therapy, the finances of this decision, all of the details, anything that you're curious about. She'll be there for us for an hour, giving us as much wisdom as we can before making the plunge. So around this time of year is when people start thinking about applying to grad school, which is usually like the deadlines are around December, depending on the program. So you have a couple months to get your references together, your application details together. Hopefully Chelsea will give you as much as you need before you start making those kind of decisions. So that's why we're doing this in our back to school moment.
In our back to school special. Yes. Thank you for that. I have to
So
introduce my coffee mug as well that my therapist friend gave to me.
what does it say? Oh, it's a little blurry.
Oh no.
It says sexy. I see that.
Anyhow,
Yes.
very appropriate for our topic, but not.
Mhm.
Yeah, the reason also for our back to school special, like you just said, to introduce this topic. So I want to be a therapist. And I get a lot of people messaging me, people who I know, people who I don't know, just asking me to have a chat about this topic and just answer questions related to like, not necessarily like, should they or shouldn't they go to school for therapy, but just, yeah, all the things that come up around it or just talking about my own experience in this whole process. So I thought, why not do a whole episode and then even make it like a longer thing for the paid subscribers, like a kind of like a mini course or just, more detailed information. So we'll drop that as well for anyone who's interested to go a little bit deeper and yeah, just kind of get more of those specifics if you're really thinking about going down this path. And hopefully that'll be helpful for those of you who, yeah, who are sitting in this decision and or maybe thinking about the career change. Yeah, I get a lot of people, I think most come to me already in some career or in some job or have been in some job for a while. And they're thinking about huge pivots. I don't know why. I mean, maybe there's other careers that have this as well, but I feel like therapy school is one of the careers where people are coming to it most often like from a different career path, or
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where people kind of maybe do it midlife, or like there are a lot of people in my program, my grad school program, that were, I don't know, maybe in their 50s or 60s. It was like definitely second, maybe third career. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why
Yeah.
therapy school? Why is that one of the careers that people kind of go to after doing other things? Yeah.
I was for about 6 months, maybe 2 semesters in college, approaching I was in the psychology program, hoping to become a counselor, but I made the change to journalism, documentary journalism, mostly because I didn't feel ready or mature enough to support people with it takes
Oh,
a lot of responsibility to support people in these areas, right? So
yeah.
that was my reason, and I like that I made that choice without really understanding it.
Yeah. Wait, am I making this up, or did you study or know about art therapy?
I
In a,
started my first semester I was starting for art therapy and switched
yeah.
to special ed. I'd made a lot of switches in my college career.
That's cool that you even knew about it though. I mean, I didn't even know about it
Yeah.
until like I moved here in my, mid 20s, but that's cool that they even had that program where you went. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it was in one of those computer placement systems where you answer a bunch of questions. And it was
Um,
one of the 10 careers offered to my personality type and my interests. And it had the median salary and where to get your degree or whatever. And there were
yeah.
only two options in Wisconsin at the time. And so I went to the private
Really?
school option, eventually transferred to
Wait,
public school.
where was the art therapy program in Wisconsin, or where were they?
I think it's still there. Edgewood College in Madison, Wisconsin. I believe they
Okay.
still have an art therapy program.
Cool. Okay.
What was cool about that program is that you were also you became licensed in marriage and family therapy, I believe,
Yeah.
while specializing in art therapy.
Yeah. That's like the program that I went to as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God they have that
Yeah.
component. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So, well, do you feel like you're still thinking about it as a career
I
path?
it's still in the back of my head. Before we started recording, Chelsea and I pulled cards for each other, and the card she pulled for me did say to stick to my dreams. And I would say my dream is writing stories, directing stories. That's the big dream. It's just an impossible feeling dream, but I'll stick to it a little bit longer. I am really interested in one-on-one situations. That's part of my joy as an astrologer, is
Yeah.
really connecting heart to heart. So yeah, it's in the back of my head. I do wonder if I'll be taking that leap someday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've got so much.
I reached out to you 3 years ago, if you remember, maybe 2 years
Yeah.
ago, about grief counseling
Yeah.
after a series of like just so many synchronicities showing up. Like, you want to go into grief counseling, like, okay. I was writing essays about talking with the dead as a, like a biographer or an essayist, like working with people who have passed and telling their stories, and all of these like really strange situations that just made me feel like grief counseling was the way to go.
Mhm.
And my now late great aunt was very insistent that, like, since I was a child, that I should be a hospice nurse or
Well,
a grief counselor, which is a really strange thing to tell like a 6-year-old or 10-year-old. She like, but she kept saying that throughout my life, even when I was like very certain going into TV and movies, and she's like, "No, you're a grief counselor." It's like, okay. So that's what's happening with me. So yeah, I've asked you, Chelsea, some of the
yeah.
questions that you'll be answering.
Yeah. Well, being a grief counselor, it feels similar to like the cards that we pulled that we were talking about with Thanatos. Is that right? Thanatos? Is that how we say it?
Thanatos?
Thanatos?
I think it's a Marvel Universe character's name too. Who brings upon death. Yeah, he like kills half the people on the planet or something. I don't know.
Is he Greek? Is he a Greek Marvel character?
He's scary.
But being a grief counselor also feels like you're guiding people like to or through the underworld in some ways. Not actually, but energetically or metaphorically, or that's the preparation in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Similar to what we were talking about with going through the therapy school process is like getting to know yourself on this level of like breaking certain things down so that you can be in this initiation process so that you can lead other people in that way too. So like going
Yeah.
through therapy school, I feel like most of it is actually just doing your own work and like excavating and digging and understanding and learning about yourself. I feel like that it feels way more important than actually learning how to counsel someone. Like
Yeah.
you learn that along the way. You learn that with practice and maybe more so after school. But during the program, I feel like it's so important to really just get to know what's going on inside of you, kind of facing your own stuff, facing your own demons or whatever you're facing, so that you can be super solid and like equipped, but also just like open and ready to kind of help people on that journey as well. Yeah.
Yeah. The humbling is so important before you have
Hmm.
that role of guide or counselor.
Yeah.
Um, I'll admit, like I was way too arrogant when I was in my 20s. Like I wouldn't have been a good counselor because I wasn't humbled yet. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I think would be helpful for this episode.
Yeah.
I would love it if you like imagined I was asking you to convince me to
Hmm.
step into therapy.
Ask
And
me.
then what did you say?
Ask me.
Yeah. And then the opposite is like, okay, can you please convince me not to do this? And
Hmm.
we'll see like what you say. I think that'd be the most helpful before our live Q&A or the little short videos that you have put together go into like the super special details that will be really helpful. But like let's hear like,
Yeah.
yeah. My question is, please convince me to become a therapist. How would you convince me?
Yeah. Okay. Well, and this is knowing like who you are, or am I speaking generally? Like,
I think general would be good
yeah,
for the people who are listening, but you
yeah,
can always clue into details about me and then hopefully it'll be universal.
yeah, right. Well, yeah, because, just knowing you, like, I know how interested you are in other people and not just like on a surface level, um, but I feel when I'm with you, I feel a lot of like your whole body listening to me and like your follow up questions and everything that you like emit when you're with a person like feels so it feels good to be around. So not to butter you up, but like I definitely feel that with you, and I think that's like not an easy thing to teach,
Mm,
maybe something that doesn't even come super naturally to people, but something that I feel like is going to be really helpful for folks who want to go into this field. So if you have that, if you have those qualities, if that feels natural to you or good to you or easy, or if you feel like, yeah, it's really easy for me to sit with a person and be super curious about them, then this is a great profession for you. I mean,
Yeah.
compassion and empathy, like that feels baseline, right? Like that's what I
Right.
would hope every therapist would be feeling or like going into the field with, right? Like a natural inclination to want to be around people and heal them, not necessarily heal them, but like see them heal and want that for them and want to help them with that and feel, yeah, empathy and compassion for them and what they've been through and how they've gotten to where they are, and wanting to see them go even further in their healing process. But so that feels like, yeah, of course everyone going into the field should at least have some bit of that. And I think the feelings that, I mean, I got into this field for a little bit of that, but also just because one of the, I think, pillars of my value system is to help people. Like if I'm not doing that, if I was in a profession where I wasn't just like really trying to make the world a better place, as cheesy as it sounds, um, I don't think I would feel, I mean, I wouldn't feel fulfilled, but it wouldn't even feel like I'm kind of doing my duty.
Yeah.
And yeah, that feels really important to me. So, um, this field, it really has a lot of potential to, and it's not like, I don't want to sound like I'm maybe, what's the word? Like, I don't know, self-righteous or something like um serving, like I'm just kind of fulfilling like these good feelings in myself by helping people. There's a word for that, I'm not even remembering what it is, but there is like an indescribable sense of like love, maybe it's love
Yeah.
that I feel when a client like makes progress or has like a win, um
Yeah.
or even not even just a win, but just like a breakthrough, an insight, something that they've never felt before or something they've never even thought they could do or say or experience before, and you get to witness that. Like there's so much witnessing that I get, like to be a part of, that it's such a crazy aspect of this profession to have these little windows into people's lives and even souls and their healing process, that I don't know, yeah, it's indescribable feeling of being a part of that, that feels really really special, and also just like so natural for me to,
Yeah.
yeah, to just be in this profession.
That's making me think um how rare it is to have that feeling in like a regular life. Like you can have that feeling with your family, your friends, and that kind of thing, but to like as your profession, as your job daily, to feel
Hmm.
that kind of like you said, love, like
Hmm.
you're in the business of expressing, showing, encouraging love. I hear that with kindergarten teachers a lot too, is like it's like such a profound experience because every single moment or every single day
Yeah.
you're connecting on that deep of a level with someone.
Hmm.
That's great. That's
Hmm.
rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like teachers would have a lot of that. I mean, when maybe when their classes aren't like out of control or crazy, in those moments where like a student is really lit up by learning something,
Yeah.
really excited about something, and like, yeah, that feeling, or yeah, just having that satisfaction of like, whoa, I did my job and like
Yeah.
it actually touched someone's like soul. Like that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like maybe because it's gnarly too. And I'm assuming like there are moments when you are guiding someone through a difficult thing, like walking through trauma or exploring difficult memories. That's the gnarly part that also adds to the layers of
Yeah.
satisfaction.
Yeah, totally. And I think that a lot of people, and maybe that's why a lot of people um like go through a career shift or they transition to the therapy arts, because they're in a position or they're in a career or a job or industry that feels so like I don't know, stale or um, far removed from like people interaction or the greater good, um, altruistically or
Yeah.
something. I hear that a lot with folks in certain jobs who are like, gosh, I just, really wish I could do something that would be helping in the world or like making more of a difference. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of folks transition because of that reason, right? I see it here, in San Francisco, like a lot of tech people are like so burned out with their whatever they're doing, and it doesn't feel like it's really making a difference, and they're working so hard, but it feels like, what's it for? And they are thinking about the career shift and what that could look like. But I do think the jump from like tech world to therapy world, I think that would be a really big shift. Like I mean, those are two like pretty different worlds to be in. So I could go into more of that. But like, yeah, there's just I think like that would be a huge transition for a lot of reasons. Really jarring.
Something else about your experience specifically that like feels like edifying or like you made the right decision
Yeah.
about making the shift.
Yeah. And more reasons to convince you. I think now, like my life now, people might look at it and see like, wow, like she has so much freedom, or she has such a nice like work balance, or she, because I'm in private practice and I set my own schedule, like it's kind of nice
Hmm.
and it works really well for me, at least to be my own boss and be in charge of my own schedule. And I know that doesn't work for everybody. um and a lot of folks need like a really structured schedule, or like they need someone to tell them exactly what to do every day. Otherwise, it's hard to stay on track. I certainly don't. There's probably many reasons you could point to in my chart that would show this, being my own boss and loving it. And so that really works for me. And I think that could work for a lot of folks. And just seeing like how much time I have to do, like give to other things in my life, like friendships and socializing and taking
Ocean.
care of myself, the ocean, my, spiritual practices and my physical practices, like all of those things, they get a lot of time. And
Yeah.
so I feel really, really grateful to be at this point in my life and my career to be able to have all of that. Because honestly, the beginning, it took a while to get here. And I can go into that as well. But
Yeah.
where I'm at now, it's like, oh, yeah, like people see that and they're like, dang, I want that. Like that looks so fun and amazing. And, you get to help people and you get to make art and you get to make art with clients. Like that is so cool. Like that I get to
Yeah.
see the effects of art therapy on people's lives. And that just like of course lights me up because I love art so much and I just get so much joy out of people creating literally anything and watching them and getting to witness them like creating. It's like crazy that I get to be paid to do that. And then it feels good. And then I have this really nice work balance where I'm working a few hours a day and I get to figure out when that is. And so seeing that, seeing my life now might convince people like, yeah, that's what I want. But I have to give a disclaimer, like it takes a while to get there.
Can you
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I finished school 10 years ago now. So, just giving you that little reference, like finished school 10 years ago, and now I'm finally like established in private practice. I've got my flow and my rhythm. I kind of figured out, maybe I haven't figured out marketing, but like kind of, or figured out my niches. Maybe that's it. And figured
Hmm.
out how I want to practice. And, I'm so in love with IFS. So, I've gotten those few things figured out now, but I did not know any of that going in to like definitely school. Didn't know going into school even what I wanted to do afterwards. Or I mean, I didn't talk to anybody. Like I never listened to anything like this, people answering questions and talk. I never talked with any therapist before going into it. Like I just went in being like, all right, I don't know what else to do. So I'm just going to try out this program and see what happens. And I mean, thank God it all worked out. But I also didn't know going into it, like how long the process was going to be. I think while I was in the program, I learned like, oh, I have to do 3,000 hours afterwards of client work. Oh, like I really had no idea, but I was just flowing with it because something inside of me was like, I think this is right. Let's just keep going. But, school took me 3 years, as most do, I think. You could probably do it in 2. So, 3 years of schoolwork. And that includes like a little practicum. So, a little bit of working, maybe a semester or 2 of hands on experience. And then after that, after you graduate, then you do have to do the 3,000 hours, at least for MFTs and I think social workers as well. 3,000 hours of like clinical work. So that's sitting with clients one-on-one. That's like groups, family work, admin work, and then your supervision with a supervisor where you talk about cases and clients every week. So it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Took me a few years to get all of those hours done. And in the meantime, some of those jobs don't pay that much money, or pay at all sometimes. And it's just like you're really kind of working to the bone usually in those settings or in those placements, wherever you are, maybe an agency or school or hospital. And you're just like working so hard. And you want to because you want to get your hours done. So it's a lot of like, yeah, really going down to the underworld, getting your initiation so that you can come out of it and you're like, all right, like that was tough. I feel, rebirthed and I've learned a lot um and now life can begin. But it is like it can be a long, 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 long process. Some people go into private practice right after school though. I know a lot of folks who do that. And I could talk more about that in depth, like about, what that I don't know, maybe the pros and cons of that too. But um yeah, which, would also take a lot of time in private practice to gain your 3,000 hours. But again, that may feel, I don't know, better for some folks who want more of the private practice experience or like one-on-one adult clients or more of like a balance of like, okay, I'm only going to work 4 or 5 hours today. And then the rest of the day I have to take care of my kid or, go to my other job or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I not convince you yet?
I feel convinced
I mean, there's
half of
like
it.
sorry to cut you off. There's also like the money aspect too, right? And maybe I should put that in the non-convincing category of, how much school can cost. A program can be expensive and you may not be working during that time. So you may have loans and you have to pay off the loans. The jobs as an intern or associate don't always pay that well. I think it was 2015 when I started my first job after school, I was paid $14 an hour as a milieu counselor in eating disorders. And then I got a raise to $17 an hour. But with inflation, I don't know, maybe that would be more now. Who knows? But not great. And, I was kind of getting by at that time, barely. So yeah, when folks are coming from a different profession or a different career, especially tech, where maybe they have a comfortable salary. Maybe they've saved up enough to like be able to kind of carry that through, which would be helpful too.
Yeah.
But it could be a big shift in income or salary going from certain industries to therapy world where, yeah, it can be a little bit more difficult. Yeah, the base salaries aren't much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think about also teachers, like how much it costs to get the education and the licensure for teaching, which like we all know, even in the college setting, like the salary for teachers is extremely low,
Hmm.
especially for how much they're responsible for. And it
Yeah.
seems to me that therapy is very similar. It
Hmm.
takes so much time and money to become qualified enough to do the work. And then you're starting at the same salary as like someone who
Hmm.
doesn't have education in a different industry.
Yeah.
That's a barrier. But then, like what you were saying at the beginning or at the near the beginning, is that there's this undeniable richness and satisfaction to the job, which is not usually part of other jobs. So
Hmm.
that's something that like I think about a lot. And like the older I get, the less convinced I am that money matters
Yeah.
as much as it's
Yeah.
talked about. It
Yeah.
really is about having a satisfying life. So that part I'm convinced by, you
Yeah.
know, it's just being aware that like you're never going to be like a millionaire, right? From being a therapist.
I mean, maybe.
You could be,
I
you could
want to say
be.
never because
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want to do or you can find a way.
Yeah. Yes. You could always
But I
find
mean,
a way.
there's, now like TikTok therapists or Instagram therapists who probably make a lot of money somehow, right? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe not exactly from like one-on-one work. Maybe we should say that. Like maybe it's a little bit harder. You'd have to have a bigger caseload or charge a lot to just make millions of dollars from one-on-one work. But
Yeah.
I think there's like so many new opportunities now for people to make money in a lot of different ways, even in this field. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we move on to convince me not to become one, is there another element that you think would be very convincing if someone's like on the fence?
What else? I guess we kind of covered a lot of the good ones.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, maybe I'm curious about like the specializing element. Like
Mhm.
you specialize in a few ways. You have a marriage and family therapist license. You're also an art therapist, and you're an IFS
Yeah.
certified or trained. I don't know what the word is. So those are like three very specific areas. What are other areas that someone might be going into? Like grief counseling is one of the
Mhm.
specialties I know about.
Mhm.
Child psychology for sure.
Yeah, right? I mean, yeah, then there's even like more like organizational psychology. I don't know a bunch about it, but like organizational psychology or like working more with like businesses or organizations or corporations even. Um and yeah, it just really depends on what you want to do, but there are a lot of options. I mean, yeah, you could be a psychologist and just do evaluations or assessments in a school, you know. You could just be in a hospital setting. You could be working specifically or only with children in school settings or in hospital settings. Like even as an art therapist, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities in a lot of different areas of like working with children or working with elders, working in hospice, working in certain facilities, doing brief therapy. Sometimes it's just like, maybe I'm going to have one or two sessions with a patient and that's it. And we're just going to be doing art. You can teach too, right? You could
Yeah.
go the doctorate route and just teach, or even just admin stuff. You could own your own practice or just supervise therapists who are starting off. So, you don't even have to do one-on-one work or even the social work
Yeah.
route, like a lot of case management. You could do, just like working in community mental health and, helping people get services or just working with the community. Again, like doesn't even have to be one-on-one work. Yeah, I worked in community mental health for a minute in between some of my other jobs. And I did a little bit of one-on-one work, but like I had a weekly grandmothers group in the neighborhood I was living in where for grandmothers who had custody of their grandkids, and they would just kind of come together and talk about grandma stuff and like goss. And I would just provide like brunch for them and we would just like chat. And like that was so cool because I got to meet,
Yeah.
elders from the neighborhood, people I wouldn't normally have come in contact with, and just like hear what's going on. And that felt so
Yeah.
cool. It didn't necessarily feel like a therapy group, which was great. It's just more of a support group. Um, and then at that
Mhm.
position as well, we also would do like supervised visits. Like I would sit and do enhanced visitation with folks who um, didn't have custody of their children at the time, but still had supervision, supervised visits. And that was tough. Like that was like heart wrenching a little bit,
Yeah.
we were trying to get people kind of reunified. Um, so there was, just a lot of different types of things that you can do. Uh, even like, I want to say, even with, I know there's so many different credentials, different tracks, different, like I'm an MFT you could be a social worker, you could be a psychologist, but like we're kind of all doing the same job. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a little bit of like differences in maybe the programs or curriculums or like even in how long you have to go to school. Like psychologists have to go to school for a little bit longer, but like we're all kind of doing the same jobs. Like I've been at all these different placements I've been in. Like I've worked with people with different credentials, but we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah, that seems really important to mention
Hmm.
because like I would love to facilitate that grandma's group. Like that sounds if I could do that every day,
Yeah, I know.
hell yeah. 100% I'm signing up. Yeah. And like there's one thing I watched a video a few months ago about how young people are taught the professions and it's like teacher, doctor, bus driver, trash collector, like the types of roles or positions that we see in our regular life,
Hmm.
but we don't know anything about like the people who test your water or the like all of these different career paths that are like we we can't be aware of because as young like a 7-year-old, I have no idea what that means, right? Or like what that kind of position would be.
Yeah.
So hearing that people who go into the counseling or psychology track, like almost every industrial setting needs someone who is skilled in psychology. And like maybe that's HR or
Yeah.
like all of these things. And it takes a little bit of imagination or searching or
Hmm.
talking to someone like you to hear, cool, I would
Hmm.
love to lead groups or I'd love to help. What did you say, as custody moments? There's a word you
Enhanced visitation. Yeah. Yeah.
enhanced visitation. Like that actually sounds perfect for me. Like I would love to do that. But I didn't know that was a thing, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's cool for you to mention.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe move to like convince me not to become a therapist? You've mentioned like the barriers of finances and how much time school takes. I think that,
Yeah.
you know, those are the thing. It's barriers though. It's not like convincing me against it. It's like just being
Yeah.
aware you're
Being
getting
aware
into.
of it. Yeah, that's a good point. Right. And yeah, being aware of like your capacities, right? Your financial capacities,
Hmm.
how much it could cost, your position in life to be able to do that and take that on. So, yeah, all those logistics. Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
consider those. And like burnout is real too.
Yeah, I was
So
going to
let's
ask
talk
about
about
that.
that theme because I was just in a consult group with some folks as I'm working towards getting IFS certified, which is like this whole process of you do the trainings in IFS and then you have to kind of do consultation and whole little thing to get like officially IFS certified. So I'm doing that, and I was in a consult group with some folks a couple weeks ago, and two of the people in that group were unlicensed, and they were just like talking about how burned out they are in this whole process. And I know that that phase of the process, like I said earlier, like when you're going through the 3,000 hours and trying to get licensed, it's its own type of burnout where you're just like,
Yeah.
get me done with this. I want to be done. You're working so hard and it just feels like it never ends. And you just like can't wait to get to that point of like, let me just turn this in so I can be done with it and like start making more money or, whatever, feel relief. So I really appreciate and like have a lot of compassion for that type of like that type of that era, like time of your life. But and then, when you're in the world practicing like I am, I've been doing this for a couple years now, burnout is also real. And sometimes you even get in the groove of like, I've been doing this for a couple years or I've been in private practice for a couple years now. I know it's flowing, but,
Yeah.
and maybe this is more of like, I don't want to say boredom because I don't want to sound like, I'm bored with the work or the content or, anything like that or my clients. But I think you can kind of be on automatic pilot and just kind of, I don't know, get into this rhythm without maybe even being maybe super present or uh, engaged in the work because it just becomes such, yeah, maybe it's just becoming so automatic in some ways. But
Yeah.
that's why I feel like IFS has like really saved me. Just from doing my own work with IFS, working with my own parts, my own system to understand my therapist parts, like who's showing up in the sessions and just kind of taking care of my own life that way
Yeah.
has helped me so much. But also like just using that model with clients, like I feel super engaged. Like I feel so energized by it. I just think it's the best. And so I never feel bored like as an IFS therapist. And when I'm engaging
Yeah.
people's parts and we're in it, it really keeps me going. Um,
There's always that element of chance, like what's gonna happen next? Like
yeah,
that I
I know
love
it really is
IFS for
like
that.
a little adventure
Yeah.
in the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, and not saying that like if you're an IFS therapist, you're never going to feel burnout because for sure, depending where you're practicing in certain settings, like I think there just is higher burnout rates no matter what.
Right.
Um, because trauma, because
Right.
it's a lot. And, we can also be witnessing and holding so much like really intense stuff. I'd hope that we're so trained to be able to take care of that, take care of ourselves in that, and just have such great self care, so that we can be with people in some of these harder moments. And
Yeah.
like, you have to be real. Like, we're humans, we have capacities, and we can't just like, kind of be unlimited in what we can pour out. Like, we have to
Right.
refill and we have to take breaks and we have to balance. Yeah. Cause you can't just go full throttle, like 40 hours a week. Let me give you everything I have and I'll be okay. So a lot of going to school, a lot of like working in the field, I think is realizing what your capacities are and taking care of yourself
Yeah.
so that you don't burn out, so that you can continue to do this work for many, many years. But, thinking like, okay, if I'm really going to be in this for 30, 40, 50 years, how am I going to stay invested, interested, healthy,
Yeah.
um, able to, show up, receive, give, all of it? Yeah.
What I'm hearing is that there's like an essential belief that you and your well-being is valuable, which I think is not necessarily in everyone. But like hopefully it's something we all adopt eventually.
Mhm.
That like, yeah, we are as individuals, we are
Yeah.
important and our well-being is important.
Yeah.
That like an empty cup can't fill another
Yeah.
adage is important.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a confrontation for me as an astrologer too. Like if I'm going to be holding space for people, I have to hold space for myself. So it's like it's a good confrontation.
Hmm.
So I'm just feeling more convinced toward going to therapy school because I
Whoa, really?
feel that. Yeah, like I can see it building capacity because you're asked to do that
Hmm.
constantly,
Hmm.
to take care of your capacity, to understand it, and also slowly build it.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's what I
So
hear.
my not convincing you didn't work. I didn't do it good enough. Just kidding. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I'm biased.
It's so
Are there
funny
any
because a
like
lot of people will like see me, like, friends or whoever in my life. A lot of folks are like, God, I don't know how you do this. Like, yeah, they have like one conversation that's emotional with somebody or whatever. They have to support, one of the people they manage at work who's coming to them with a bunch of problems or, something like that. And they're like, God, I could never be a therapist or I don't know how you could do this all day. And it's so funny when I hear people say that. Not funny, but I I take that and I'm like, well, I don't even um yeah, I don't even like think about it that way. It just feels so natural for me that I
yeah,
don't even yeah, it doesn't even like I don't even process that question of like how can I do this all day? I do it and it doesn't feel difficult. It doesn't feel
yeah,
hard. It doesn't feel like too emotional. But I completely understand that for some folks it's just it's not how they're built. It's not what they want to do. It's not what they have capacity for. And that's 100% okay.
Yeah. What's a profession you could not imagine doing?
I think anything like sitting in front of the computer for 8 hours a day, I don't think I could. I can't even, I mean, even though my job has a lot of sitting and I am in front of a computer, like virtually with people. So like I am doing that, but I couldn't like focus on a screen and like type and I don't know, answer email, like do all the things that a lot of folks have to do in most of their jobs on the computer. I don't think I could do it. So that would be hard. Um it's funny because I almost went to law school and now I can't even imagine like arguing with people. Or not that that's essentially what lawyers do, but
Persuasion.
yeah, I'm like I don't really love convincing anyone of anything because it's not really what we do as therapists.
Yeah.
Or challenging or arguing with anything, arguing with a part. No, couldn't imagine doing that. What else? I'm sure there's more. What could you imagine not doing?
Firefighting.
Really? Wow. That's in
Well,
your
it sounds
blood
like
though. That's in your genes.
my father's line. I couldn't imagine being woken up at 2 a.m. and then having to go into like literal emergency
Yeah.
situations and then coming back and like your body not like being in emergency mode for so long.
Yeah.
It's also like such a physical job where like what if my knee is out that week or what if my back is out or something
Yeah.
and then like yeah, that's a job that would be really hard for me for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
think
think about
most
the people.
really physical jobs would be hard. I mean, being like any kind of law enforcement, oof, I could not imagine. Or
Yeah.
just like
Or like
even a
the
first
the
responder, like anything where you're just witnessing like a lot of intensity, you know? Like that would
It's
be
interesting that you bring that up because my dad's best friend was like a investigator,
yeah,
a criminal investigator,
yeah,
and my dad was a firefighter. So they both were like emergency related type people. And
yeah,
they would have these arguments, playful arguments in front of us saying, like, well, my job is more stressful or more like traumatic or whatever because I'm a first responder. Or my dad's friend would say, yeah, you may be there first, but I am there to see like the most violent crimes that you can think of after
mm,
the fact. And I have to like discover why or what happened.
yeah, yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. Like, yeah, those two jobs, not for me.
Not for me. Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, and yeah, the vicarious trauma that I assume they would be dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah. Then having that like color your view of the world because
Mm-hmm.
that's your profession,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
you
would be
know?
so yeah.
Okay, but let's
I
stop
don't
talking
believe
about
it.
firefighting.
I'm curious if, and not to put you on the spot, but also to put you on the spot as an astrologer, what do you think? And maybe you can use my chart as an example of maybe there's little points in my chart that I'm sure you've told me before, but to bring that into the pod that have pointed to like, yeah, you're going to be an art therapist, or your work
Yeah.
is going to be public, or you're helping people, or you're helping people with specific things, like, and
Yeah.
yeah, where people could maybe even see that more in their charts too.
Yeah. I'll try to make this applicable for people who are listening. What's really interesting is that the more I talk about or look at your chart and also my chart on this podcast, this is episode 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
I see that our charts are really similar, but not obviously at first. So we
Yeah.
both have Venus in the 11th house. And the 11th house is like-minded individuals, or it's more of like a public social groups, like large groups house. So we both
Yeah.
have our planet of art
That's
in the 11th. Interesting. The other thing is we both have Jupiter in our 7th house, which is where we look for information for like one-on-one relationships. So that could be like counseling, client work. And
oh,
that could look like one-on-one marketing clients, but clients in general, having Jupiter in the 7th house looks like someone who just had like feels expanded.
mm,
You and I feel expanded when we're like in that like really intimate space with one other person. That
Okay.
makes a lot of sense for both of us, like wanting to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
For you, having a Cancer sun, I think just inherent makes you such like a lover, a deeply compassionate person. So that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
If we're looking at the sun sign as like what we're here to do in this world, or like what motivates us, yeah, Cancer sun usually
And in the
are,
12th house
yeah,
as well.
12th house, the compassionate house, the house of like the collective unconscious. It
Hmm.
makes sense to me that you are very interested in like Jungian theory and
Hmm.
symbolism and that kind of thing, especially with like art therapy, like
Yeah.
seeing what comes up emerges. Like the 11th house, or this is very, you can't really design what happens. You just like let things come up and present themselves, which can feel very dangerous to some people. But with the sun in the 12th, you're used to that. Like things just show up
Hmm.
without cause, seemingly.
Hmm.
The other thing is like having Mercury in an angular house, which is the first, fourth, seventh, or 10th house. So we both have Mercury's in our angular houses. That tends to show up in the profession as like, yeah, there's thinking and speaking involved.
Hmm.
And your Mercury in Leo too is very like warm, generous, expressive. So that makes
Hmm.
sense. A lot of your chart makes sense for the profession that you're in, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Crazy.
Another thing that's really interesting about your chart and mine actually, both of our 10th houses are ruled by Venus. So my 10th house is Libra, yours is Taurus. So then the planet that rules our 10th house is like career, or like how we want to be seen in this world, or how we want to show up, is ruled by the planet of art and connection. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like it's strange that we have so much in common,
Yeah.
but very, very different placements. So
Yeah.
people who are listening, like maybe look to your 7th house, like maybe if there are placements there that can give you really good ideas for what type of therapy you'd want to offer. And maybe
Hmm.
if you don't have a lot of energy in your 7th house, like maybe you're more of the like industrial or HR type psychologist, or like maybe child psychologist if there's 5th house placements.
Yeah.
10th house too can give you a really good idea of what type of role you want to play.
Hmm.
11th house, like I said, for both of us, like if you have Venus or planet in the 11th, maybe you're more of like a group counselor. Maybe you want to focus on a specific population.
Hmm. Hmm.
If I were to take a guess, your population would be more of the intellectual or chatty because it's Gemini. And then my 11th house is Scorpio, so my populations tend to be like the really deep feelers or occultists, Scorpio energy.
Yeah.
I feel like I love to work with people who have this like really intense, gnarly artistic energy that can be expressed in their personal life or through their projects, and they get to choose how to use that energy. So that's
Mm.
something else to get is like your 11th house usually shows you your client base, maybe not your client
Oh.
specifically, but the type of people that you are attracted to or who are attracted to you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those are
Uh-huh.
some general things. Yeah, I'd love to keep talking about that. Maybe it's so much better when we're looking at specific charts, right? Like if
Yeah.
someone comes to us and they want to become a therapist, but they don't know what kind. Actually, like here's an invitation. Is that you? Would you want to be on the podcast and we can talk through your chart?
That
That'd
would
be
be
really
so
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Where do you think
Yeah.
the research people would be? Like the people who maybe I feel like I
Mhm.
forgot to mention that too, because I feel like that's also a big component of the field as well. Like people who don't even want to work one on one, but like our research folks who just want to write and research
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm curious about that.
That's an interesting question because that could show up in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I I boldly say this, although I'm open to being wrong, but
Mhm.
if there's a dominance of Virgo, Scorpio, or Aquarius in your chart, that tends to look like someone who's really into
Mm,
research. But it could be like if you have a dominance of air signs. So, like people
yeah.
who have lots of Libra, lots of Aquarius, lots of Gemini, tends to be more intellectual, but they also are really great at conversation.
Hmm.
So that could be something.
Hmm.
I think it really depends because I'm also thinking about the 4th house, like, there's more of the introverted or private nature, so maybe
Mm.
if, like, a Saturn is there in Aquarius, that could be something like they they really like to like observe from afar or like
Yeah.
introspect themselves. Like it would show up in a lot of different ways. But
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, I'd love to see a chart. And if that came up, it would have to be a conversation too, because that kind of energy is expressed by free will a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I love research,
Mm-hmm.
but my chart also says that I love connecting more. So I would, for a profession, if I had to choose, I would prefer more one-on-one, like
Yeah.
client work over just research. You know what I mean? Though
Yeah.
I think research always has to be a part of my experience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah,
You are a big researcher.
I love researching. I instruct writing and research students in the university setting. And every time I do it, I'm like, oh man, I love doing this. I love doing this so much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're good
But it's
at it.
like I'm doing it as a teacher too, you know? It's
Mm.
still like it's so connected to supporting other people in their life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And my
Mm-hmm.
own research, like of course I do
Mm-hmm.
alone, but anyway.
We would
Yeah.
have been friends in school.
Oh my God.
School buddies.
Ugh,
School
I
nerds.
imagine it all the time.
Maybe it'll happen someday.
We would have been dangerous. Like, what did I say recently? If we were in an MFA poetry program together, we would have fucked that up. Like we would have made so many stories. Just going across the room.
Oh, yeah. It'll happen someday, I swear.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that feel? Like, do you feel like you have anything else to say?
Wait, final answer. Do you feel convinced or not convinced?
I think that your persuasion skills are very high, but the
Really?
barriers are also high. So I'd have to figure it out.
So it's the yes?
Yes, and like every year I age, the harder it gets to decide to go to a program. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if you just had like an unlimited pot of money,
Oh yeah.
like if
Yesterday.
someone was paying for it and it was free, you'd do it. Is that right?
Yeah. 100.
Okay. I think everyone's like, yeah, duh.
Yep. If I had unlimited money, I could live in San Francisco and
Ah!
my rent and food was paid for. Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe that's another thing I was going to use to convince you. Like, if you were a therapist, we would be coworkers, essentially colleagues. So then
What?
we just
Yes.
hang out as coworkers, and that would be enough to convince you. I think I'd be like,
Hmm.
let's go get a coffee and let's talk shop, and then we would just be buddies. I mean, we already are, but this would
I
be another
oh,
level of camaraderie that would just be amazing.
I would love that. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you
And then we'd
everyone
have our
for
own business too. We would open up our own shop and it would be
yes.
like a whole wellness center and
Full of felt and
medical
paper
shop.
scraps. I love that. Okay, before we end this podcast, let's remind people that Chelsea will be leading a free Q&A for anyone who's considering and kind of on the fence, has any specific questions. Look for information on our Substack for
Mhm.
that. We have a date set, but I don't have it in my head right now. And also she has put together a course, like a mini course of like basically everything that you need to know before you begin this process. That will be somewhere on our Substack as well. And we'll put it in the show notes of this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can
Thank
just
you
come
so
to the
much,
live
guys.
talk too, just to hang out, even if you don't want to become a therapist.
Yeah.
You
Any
can just,
question, any answer.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Thank
Okay.
you. And
Have a
have a
good day.
fun back to school session. Special time.
Thank you for joining us for Parts and Charts, the IFS and Astrology podcast. If something sparked insight or resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you.
No, really, we're here to make friends. Reach out to us. Leave a comment, subscribe, and if you feel called, share this episode with someone you care about. Or, if you want to work with us one-on-one and go deeper with this work, check the link in the show notes for how to find us.
Until next time, May all of you feel a part of the family.